Hello friends, welcome to Alchem IAS. We are continuing our Indian Express Demystified series. So let's start with today's 21st May newspaper. So first of all, about me, I am Dr. Rajesh Kumar Mohan. I have done my MBBS from Government Medical College, Chandigarh. I have worked as Assistant Medical Officer in Indian Ordnance Factory Health Services. This is my fifth attempt. So let's start with today's newspaper. So first is about session that was given by S. Jaishankar, our External Affairs Minister, to Indian Express and Financial Times. So what are the broad ideas that S. Jaishankar pointed out? That first of all, about India-China relationships. India-China relationship. So according to S. Jaishankar, India-China relations are truly at crossroads. So the border conflict that happened and previously Doklam issue and all these events point out that the relationship is at crossroads. According to S. Jaishankar, our relationship with China were based on something called 1988 consensus. What is this 1988 consensus? In 1988, our former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi visited China after 26 years after 1962 war. So there, the leaders of the two countries decided that the border issue would not be going out of control. It would be in manageable level. There would be respect of each other's sovereignty. So that was the 1988 consensus. What happened later on was there were multiple agreements signed, especially 1993 and 1996 agreements, in order to ensure that the fighting at the border does not happen. So that was a confidence building measure on the platform of which our economic relationship was built upon. So 1988 consensus was there, which enabled India and China to have a more productive economic relationship. Right now, we have a strong economic relationship where the trade is happening to both sides, more from China to India side. Even technological collaboration, in fact, some startups getting funding from China. So all these factors are there. So, but that was based on 1988 consensus. What has happened now recently, why it is the relationship is going at crossroads in on account of the violation of this consensus by China. When China goes for this kind of approach where the borders are not respected, then surely the relationships are going to deteriorate. These are the arguments put forward by Jaishankar. Second thing is about the Quad. So China calls Quad as a NATO model. However, the reality is that even US representative says that for Indo-Pacific, the NATO model is not effective, and there is a growing consensus about that the military alliance in the region would be counterproductive, and even new US administration is aware about these sensitivities. In fact, as Jaishankar points out, that Quad is a grouping which is not directed at one particular player, say against China, because that is gamemanship. So today's relationships are not decided by gamemanship. That a winner or loser idea, but rather there is a grouping, and this grouping is one of the mechanisms of interaction in the Indo-Pacific. And with passage of time, grouping is going to mature only. So right now, Quad is maturing in the region. So these are the ideas of S. Jaishankar with regard to India-China relationship and Quad. We can certainly use the key word of 1988 consensus, the gamemanship. All these ideas can be quoted to External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. So with this, let's move to the second article. So this is about Pune lab has developed India's first home COVID test kit. So this home COVID test kit is developed by My Labs. It's a Pune-based laboratory. So this would be termed as Coviself. So what is this? It is using a rapid antigen test in order to give results in 15 minutes. This kind of testing, if we say, was first developed in US, later on Europe and other areas also. India, this is a first kit that has been developed by our companies. Now, first of all, arguments for self-test and against that self-test. What are the arguments in support of self-testing? First of all, it will reduce the expenditure of the test. Second is it would enable isolation, prompt isolation, and the test results will come in quickly, in fact in 15 minutes. And according to ICMR, a symptomatic person or a person who is high risk, he will test positive, he will be considered positive. There would not be a need for going to RT-PCR test. But if it is negative and the symptoms are there, a person has to go for a RT-PCR test. So that is there. And third is that during testing, the chances of spread would be reduced. These are the advantages. And last and most important is that it will reduce the stress on the normal labs. So these RT-PCR labs would have lesser people going for testing because they have tested them themselves only. So we can say that it will reduce the stress on the laboratory infrastructure. What are the arguments against? First of all, it uses a rapid antigen test, which has a false positive and false negative values. So that reliability is in question. Second is that errors would increase only because in rapid antigen test, what we have is that some specialist, some person having knowledge on how to collect the sample is using. So people may not be able to follow precautions properly. So that may increase the errors in the testing. So and then with regard to isolation and treatment, prompt treatment, it will also depend how how the people will be supplying the information. In fact, the MyLabs is associated with an ICMR linked MyLabs AI powered application. So the data field there would be updated in the ICMR portal, and according what next to be done would be told to the person who tests positive. So, but it will also depend how truly the data is fed into the app. So these are the various arguments in support and against self-test. That is the first thing that is coming in India, and in fact, it would help a lot, especially in the acute term, because right now we are going through a second wave where the caseload on the normal laboratories for RT-PCR is very high, and it is taking approximately 2 to 3 days in order to get the result of the test. So that is a with this, let's move on to the next article. So now as we know, a new infection. So it's an old infection only, black fungus. So it is in news. It is a mucormycosis. So it is a fungal infection. It is increasing, especially in post-COVID patients. Why? Because post-COVID patients who recover have less immunity. Why they have less immunity is because steroids is a common modality of treatment of COVID patients, and steroids reduce the immune system of the person, and body's immune system is reduced, resulting in more susceptibility to an infection like black fungus. Now, this mucormycosis, these spores are present in environment, so like dusty places. So what needs to be done is that how to prevent this disease? We should avoid congested places. Then we should wear mask and ensure that take steps so that our immunity is not compromised. So these are the methods to prevent it. Now it has been made a notifiable disease. What do you mean by a disease made as a notifiable disease? Is that if a black fungus infection is detected, so the authorities would have to alert the concerned person under the Integrated Disease Surveillance Program. What is this Integrated Disease Surveillance Program? It is a decentralized system in order to identify emerging infections. So it is a surveillance where any abnormal infection or a person with fever 3 days, 7 days, all these diseases are made notifiable so that a centralized data can be collected and can be known. The data can be analyzed to find out whether there is a sudden rise in the number of cases. So now this COVID-linked black fungus, mucormycosis, has been made a notifiable disease. So writing the storm, this editorial in the Indian Express details again that what we are experiencing now is that Arabian Sea is becoming very warm. Why is it becoming warm? Is because of global warming. And in fact, it is said that Arabian Sea is warming at the fastest pace compared to all the tropical oceans in the world. So maximum warming is happening in the Arabian Sea. So result of this is that the cyclones are becoming more frequent along the western coast of India. So eastern coast, especially Bay of Bengal, uh, used to experience this cyclones very frequently. Their infrastructure and the planning has been done, but the western coast, especially Gujarat, Maharashtra, they have to work on this because more cyclone shelters need to be made and more preparedness have to be done for the cyclones. The infrastructure has to be cyclone friend, cyclone resilient. So all these steps need to be taken in the western coast because the pattern of cyclone genesis is changing and more cyclones are being formed on the Arabian Sea. So we have to be adapted to the new reality of the Indian Ocean, western aspect, western side warming up at a very fast rate. So this is an article together against the COVID. There are two main points that they are highlighted: how the government of India has acted in order to ensure that oxygen supply is maintained, and second is with regard to the elections. So there was a criticism that during pandemic holding elections was not justified, and because it further increased the spread of infection, massive rallies turned out to be super spreader events. But the author is saying that article. So what the author is saying right now is that Ravi Shankar Prasad is saying that Article 172 of the Constitution says that any state assembly after 5 years becomes ineffective. So it is a constitutional mandate that the elections have to be done before the 5 year period. So this could not have been done because there were constitutional implications also. At the same time, he is saying that government of India took enough precautions in order to ensure COVID appropriate behavior would be followed during the election rallies. But we all know that the elections, the COVID appropriate behavior was not there. Plus, now with regard to the counter argument, which is not mentioned here, is that we could have president could have asked in Supreme Court in order to clarify whether elections could be delayed or not. And in fact, if that is the not the case, Parliament could have gone for a session and could have made a constitutional amendment. And there was a overwhelming consensus with regard to that the pandemic is a real threat. So we could have something called new medical emergency. We have national emergency, financial emergency. New term like medical emergency could have been introduced in the constitution where delay of the elections could have been allowed. So that could have been explored, but the argument by the government is that Article 172 and makes it compulsory that election should be held before 5 years of the term of the assembly. So with this, let's move on to the next one. So now government has come with an advisory that COVID is becoming airborne. So what is this airborne meaning? So, and droplet one. So there are two things. One is a droplet and one is a aerosol. So droplet is a heavy particle in which virus is there, but the point is that it would not spread beyond a point. So within 2 meter, the beyond 2 meter droplet would not be there because it is heavy and gravity will pull it down onto the ground. But aerosols, they are final particles. They remain suspended in the air, so they go far more. So let's say for 10 meter away. And second is that they stay in the atmosphere for quite a time. So all these factors make aerosol more deadly. So recently, evidence is collecting that COVID is more of an aerosol-borne disease. So this means that now we should have to focus on ventilation. Plus, the distancing has to be more. Ventilation is needed. Ventilation would ensure that the particle goes away. So these are the government advisories with regard to COVID being more of a airborne disease. So now RBI has finally the last article. The RBI has come up with this sovereign gold bond it would be issuing, and why it is well, it would be rational for the investors to invest in sovereign gold. What are the points that favor? So this explained is there. So what is sovereign gold bond? Basically, it is a this sovereign means the government of India, and gold bond. Bond means is a piece of paper which would be issued by say RBI, and investors will purchase it and will return back after a period of time. So what are the provisions of this sovereign gold bond? First of all, you would have to you can go for a digital mechanism, digital way in order to subscribe for it. And second is you will get 2.5% annual interest rate to be paid biannually. So this kind of interest rate would also be available. So what would be the returns if a person invests in the gold bond? First of all, so the after the redemption period is over, after we redeem these bonds, what will happen is that the amount that will be given back to us would be based on the prevailing gold prices at that particular time of period. So returns would be that it is said that the gold prices are going to rise in the future. Why it would rise? Because first of all, there is uncertainty due to the COVID, and second is that this we are experiencing something called cryptocurrency bubble busting. Bubble. So this many people are saying that this Bitcoin bubble is there, and many people are investing money there, but the chances are there that it will burst one day, and the money that would come out of it would certainly go to the gold. And third aspect is that Indians have historically invested in gold. So that gold prices will increase, so that it would be worthwhile to invest in it. Second is that there is a sovereign guarantee. So the fear of default and risk is very less. So all these factors make it a very attractive proposition to go and buy these bonds. So this is the article. So uh, with this, I think today's newspaper comes to an end, and I would like to thank you all for listening to our newspaper. We would be continuing our series in the future also. So, uh, finally, I would like to request you to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. At the same time, the notes of these videos are available on the Google Drive. You can join our Telegram channel also. So, thank you for listening to us, and have a nice day.